Hey guys, I am back with my series on my 2025 lineup. I know March is, oh gosh, April, excuse me. April is a really odd time to be sharing this lineup, but I haven't been able to make videos in a long time. Getting back into it. So, if you haven't seen my previous videos, go check them out. Right now, this is just a short series of me showing you the things I write in and what kind of writing I do in them. So this guy right here, I'm very excited to share with you. He is my Boox Air 4C. It is a e-ink tablet, and I absolutely adore this thing. So I jumped on the Remarkable bandwagon a couple years ago, and I had a Remarkable for about a year and some change. And then I was like, I just kept getting frustrated with it. There are certain things about it that I loved. I love the e-ink. I love the e-ink. I loved how thin it was. I loved the the typing experience on it. There was things about it though that I didn't love. One of the main one, which is kind of important for me, which is actually what ended up having me make this decision to switch, is the PDF format. Just how the paper worked, like the actual paper that you write on, it works incredible inside the device. And then when you try to export it, you're like, the heck is this? And it's just kind of a hot mess. And maybe that's user error. I'll acknowledge that. To all you people out there who love Remarkable, don't come at me. I 100% respect your decision to be a remarkable person, which is a pun. And I just didn't, for me personally, enjoy that. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be able to get at anything I write in my device anywhere else easily. I don't want to fight it. I don't want to have to sit there and scramble to reformat it and like, I don't want those barriers of entry. And I also am somebody who writes so much, so much. And I'm somebody who wants to get better at reading a lot more. So I was like, okay, how am I going to get these needs met? Like, I have such a quantity of study notes in my Evernote. I have my diary that is my girliest of girly thoughts and just brain dumps in day one. I have my bullet journal in Note Plan, which is all stuff that I'm going to go over in the video when I explain my second brain. But I was like, I would love to have an e-ink tablet where I could access those things, because yes, e-ink is about being more present in the moment, being not so like screen heavy, giving your eyes a break, and being able to just focus on writing. With that being said, like, the technology that we have for writing is extremely useful, and it would be really nice to have access to it. And so I found out about this company, Boox, and they make like the Boox Palma, which I ended up getting one of those, but that'll be in a different video. And they make tons of different tablets, and I was like obsessed. It was like mind blowing at the time. I was like, yes, that's it. That's what's gonna do it. So this thing basically, it runs on an Android system, and it can do everything your Android phone can do except calls, right? So YouTube, all your apps, like it has the Google Play Store, all the things, right? And so obviously, if you got this for the purpose that I did, which is really heavy writing, you're not gonna be like going crazy with that stuff, but it's still cool to understand that you have access to those things if that's what you're looking for and that's what you want. So I use primarily right now the automatic notes app on the device. I put a bunch of other stuff on here for when I did feel like using it, but I haven't used them super heavy on here yet. So I have my diary, my day one. The ring light that I'm using is pretty strong. I have my day one diary. I have my Evernote notebook if I want to read through any notes that I have. I'm going to turn this light down and see if that helps you guys. So give me a second. Maybe that light's a little less intense. It's still pretty reflective. Sorry about that. And then I have, if I like tilt it, it kind of helps. I have the Note Plan, which is an app that I would love to do a whole video on because it's my digital bullet journal and it's the best one I've ever experienced and I love it to death. I use it every day, or like all throughout the day, and it's incredible. And then I tried to dabble with some visual stuff, so I put concepts on there, which is like a sketchbook, and then I put this IBIS paint. They don't work well. They lag, they're weird. I mean, like, they work, but I'm not really enjoying it so far. But again, I fully acknowledge that could be user error because I'm still learning how to utilize this tablet in the best way. But I will go into what I do use all the time, which is the internal notes app. So as you can see, I have a lot of different documents in here. I'm not really going to flip through them because they're all very personal information, but this device itself is where I go to write very private, very deep, very personal, vulnerable, raw thoughts. And it's also where I put all of my faith notes and stuff like that. So I take this to my Bible studies and I take it to my church services on Sundays, and it's where I do all my sermon notes. So you can see here I have a bullet journal, just like a regular. I use the dotted template, and I do basic bullet journaling stuff. If I need to, when this is like the only device I have access to, I'll just dump stuff in there, just to kind of ease my brain. I have a scrapbook, which is not scrapbook as in like you're scrapbooking cute stuff, but a scrapbook as in testing ideas, testing the pen, just any kind of tests I need to do. I have sermon notes, which is probably the one I'm in the most often. No, excuse me. This is sermon notes that are outside of my church, so YouTube videos, just any other sermons, podcasts, that kind of thing. And then I have my actual church that I go to, their specific sermon notes. I have those separate. I don't know why, that just makes sense to my brain. I have a private journal where I write present day concerns, struggles, thoughts that I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, just like all that kind of stuff, right? Just like letting it out on the page, because one of my favorite quotes is paper is more patient than people. And just allowing myself to be free of judgment and free of like concerns of anything. And then I have a burn book, which is where I write about past things, past, to be completely honest with you, past trauma. And I just let all of the stuff that I would never let anyone else see ever, about things that I've gone through in there, because it's the concept of the burn book, right? Which, if you haven't heard of that before, it's just a book that you let out all of the things that you want to let go of in life that have caused you harm or anything, and then at the end you burn it. Well, obviously this is a digital device, so I'm not burning it, but the concept is the same. It's just like that area where you release all of that energy, and all of that stuff, and it's very healthy, but it also is very emotionally weighty, so it's not something that I want anyone else to ever have access to. And then I have reflections, which is mostly like personal brainstorming, just kind of like, I don't really know how to describe that, but yeah, just like reflections about life, or reflections about questions or circumstances or things like that. And then I have this one. I watched a docu-series on Moses, and I did a whole bunch of notes on that. So if you want to see into, I can go into this, like my scrapbook real quick, so you can do some testing. I fixed the keyboard for me. So the automatic keyboard in here is not bad. It's a little bit laggy, but it is an Eink tablet, so that's not a surprise. And then I was watching tips and tricks videos about these tablets, and somebody recommended installing the Google keyboard, and it is like much faster, and it just feels better, and I love that. Hold on a second. I wonder if it's gonna let me in here. Nope, it's writing over it. let's see. So 95% of the time I am handwriting on here. So I'm still getting used to how to use the text boxes. Let's take a look. I think he's in here, and I think text box. So I don't know if that's how I get back into it. Yep, okay. So I just had to click the text box section, and then trying to figure out what to do about the light so that you can see him better. If I turn off the light, can you still see the tablet? Yeah. Okay, that's actually really not that bad. There's a decent amount of sunlight, so we're good. So this keyboard down here is the Google board, the Google keyboard that I just downloaded. So I will show you. Oh, of course I'm messing up. So I found with this keyboard that when I very first open it up, it does the flashy thing. And then as I go about, it kind of like calms down and stops doing that. And then it gets even faster. So let's see if I... Anyways, I don't type on this thing very much, but I want to do it more. But yeah, you can kind of see Eink is different. You're not going to have the same flow as you would with like a regular tablet, but I'm at peace with that. It doesn't bother me. And also you can change the refresh rate. So you can go in and fiddle with the settings to have a different experience with that. And then you can probably tailor it to be even more like responsive and less like flashy. Last time I was doing it, it did only do that flashing for the beginning, and then it stopped doing the flashing, and then it was like really nice. So I don't know, we'll see. But also one of the things I do is I lock the orientation when I'm in it. So if you scroll down here, you have the control center, and where is he? I lock the orientation, so rotate, because I am left-handed, and so I literally write sideways all the time. And then I also prefer, when I'm using any kind of tablet, I have to get out of the text box thing, hold on. When I use any kind of tablet, I prefer to zoom in, because that makes my writing cleaner. So I go in here and I just make him a lot bigger, just because it's a lot easier to write cleaner and just like nicer. And then the other reason that I switched tablets is because I couldn't stand the margins on the Remarkable. Like when I was typing, because I used to type a ton on the Remarkable, because the Remarkable tablet, I will give it this, it types like a dream. And I always used the attached keyboard, but I was like, and I'm a really fast typer because I write too much. And so I was just like going crazy, and it worked perfectly. When it came to the speed of the typing, when it came to being able to design the document and like have it format, like I felt like a solid third of the page was a margin that I couldn't touch and I couldn't get rid of. And I literally like researched it on Google, and I like tried to find videos, and I like dug through the tablet settings, and I tried to find it in the notebook, and I tried to find it in and I like could not get rid of this massive margin, to the point where like all of your writing is like a column. It feels like a column and not a page, and you're like, well, what? Like I write too much for this. Like this isn't okay. I need my page. I need my whole page. Why? And I would even have to, like, when I was writing it, handwriting in it, I would kind of have to like fight it and try to get to like the full page. And then even when I did that, it had too many limitations. It just wasn't my thing. But all that being said, I don't have those issues with this guy at all. Because I enjoy the writing experience so much more on this, I totally flipped. With the Remarkable, I didn't enjoy the handwriting experience, so I almost exclusively typed. With this one, I enjoy the handwriting experience so much that, as you can see, I like never typed, so I like didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh wait, how do I do this? Oh wait. Which for people who typing, I'm sure, don't have that issue. And you can also have notebooks in here that are just typing notebooks and not handwriting, and then you wouldn't have to fuss with text boxes. It would just be like a document like you'd normally do. But because this is a book where I am handwriting, you have to have a text box to type. So that's just something to be aware of. And then, let's see. So I will just right here. And show you what the writing looks like. I prefer the ballpoint pen at around 55. I'll move it up or down, just kind of dependent on my mood. This is my norm. I just like my font being bold. I like it being very, like, anything that makes it look clean and obvious. I'm about it. I don't like it when it's too thin. So yeah. And I write a ton in this guy. So he's waiting. There we go. But one of the things that I really love about this too is that, yes, it reads your handwriting. Like, my handwriting looks like my handwriting, but it looks like just the tiniest bit, nothing super crazy. It looks kind of like a cleaned up version. So when I was writing on the Remarkable, any little error, you would see it, and it was just very obvious. Whereas this feels like tidy. Not intensely, I'd say like by like 10%. Like, it's really not extreme, but it is enough that I notice it, and so I really enjoy that. And I can write in this thing for hours and just be completely content and just feel like I love it. And so I think that's why I put all of my personal faith, just like deep stuff in here, and is because of how much I enjoy it, and I want that experience of being vulnerable to be like really enjoyable and feel safe, and that's what this is for. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a very kind of rough walkthrough, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse at what it's like to have a e-ink tablet as one of your optional writing spaces. This guy, he has so many different things you can do with him. You can adjust the brightness, the backlight brightness, so it can be more and more like paper. You can adjust the warmth. You can watch YouTube on it. You can have all sorts of stuff. So I use it pretty simply, but I use it in a way that is very fulfilling to me. And if you are looking for any kind of e-ink option, definitely recommend him. The only thing I will kind of warn you about is if you're somebody like me who writes a ton, this nub here at the end does wear. So you can feel its shape changing over time, because it gets worn down. So mine is worn down, but not to a point where it bothers me or it in any way impacts its like performance, but it does feel different. If you're used to like the Apple Pencil where it's like metal and one and done, this is going to feel very different for you. It has more of a give. It feels more like you're pressing into paper. It has a texture, so you can feel like the I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear the paper texture. It's just a totally different experience than an Apple Pencil. I love it. I like it. Feels like paper, and which is great. I even use the Paper-like on my tablets because I prefer that. And then the only other thing to be aware of with this device is compared to other e-ink tablets, the battery will not last as long because it has a lot more going on in the operating system. It's doing a lot more. So naturally the battery is going to not be as long as like a Remarkable, and it has like backlight and all that kind of stuff. So with the amount in which I use this, the battery lasts me probably like a week to 2 weeks even. because I just turn it off when I'm not using it, and that's that. And I'll just have like a couple hour-long journaling sessions in it, you know, a week or whatever. And but yeah, that's just something to be aware of. So depending on how heavy of a use, you will have to charge this more often than you would have to charge a Remarkable, but less often by far than you'd have to charge like a like an Apple tablet, a iPad mini. Gosh, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Lastly, magnet on the side is very weak, so it's there, but this thing moves super easy. But it comes with a, or at least most of the pack, I mean, you can buy it separate if you want, but most of the packages come with this cover, and the cover has a little pen holder, and that's always been enough. But if you like press on this, he'll like pop in and do like that number, which is a little bit obnoxious. So that's just something to be aware of. I am eventually going to invest in a leather cover because this thing is like a pride and joy for me. So I want it to have a nice cover, but for now, this works perfectly well. So hopefully that was interesting for you. Hopefully you learned some stuff and had options for e-ink. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.